you may start your day feeling a little bit tense or, oh my gosh, how's things going to go? Or you might start in a really zen, blissed out, harmonious way, and then things happen, right? Human
I
behavior comes
agree.
up.
Absolutely.
So it's about just using that as a tool. It's like, oh, where am I? And obviously making sure that you do not shame yourself if you suddenly feel like, oh my God, I'm at a 7 or 8. Okay.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Well, hello. Hello, dear listeners. Hello, dear Deb. Here we are with another deliciously motivated mindset conversation.
Welcome. Hi.
Hi. How are you doing this fine, beautiful day?
I'm great. The sun is shining, even though we're going into, hang on, what is it? Autumn. That's it. I'm like,
fall.
winter.
You're
No, it's
in the
autumn.
fall, and we're in the spring. So
I love that you say fall and we say autumn. I just think it's cute. Two different countries.
Different countries, different vibes. So, like I said, here we are with another deliciously motivating conversation. We actually have a really good one that's very close to my heart today.
A good one.
A goodie. This is a goodie.
It's a goodie.
So before we let you know, well, we actually know that you already know what we're going to talk about. But before we get into the meat of it, we like to rate ourselves. And rating ourselves means checking in. How are you feeling? Where are you at emotionally, mentally, physically? What's going on? And so on this scale, we rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is where you're just very neutral, very zenned out. Everything's good. You're in a good flow. And 10 is, OMG, I'm feeling so stuck and freaking out. I don't know what the hell to do.
Yes.
Yes. And so, Deb's just realized that means
I
forget
that. Damn. How do I feel? I have a bit of a sniffly nose. I've got an exciting day ahead. I'm probably going to say I'm a 3. No, I'm not going to probably. I'm going to say I'm a 3. I'm a 3.
Okay.
And I just have to giggle. Okay, yeah, 3.
You're allowed to have a giggle.
Okay, I'll just have a giggle. Hee hee, 3.
Okay.
And the topic, oh my God, I'm so excited about the topic.
So you're giving us a different number on the topic?
The topic's a 0 because it's just... Is a 0 excited? It's not really excited, is it?
No,
a 0
is... No, a 0 is kind of neutral, right?
Yeah, I'm not neutral. I'm incredibly excited about this topic. Okay, I'm not rating myself on the topic.
Okay. I probably am not either. I actually really love talking about what we're talking about today. And I'm going to put myself at a 1. I'm actually feeling pretty good. And I'm really excited because I've just started a new habit that I've been promising myself for a really long time, and I have done it. This new habit is that I'm going for a walk for an hour every day. So.
Oh my God, but you started that in winter when you were in snow.
I know.
And if you're going to, that habit is phenomenal to think that you're doing that in winter and snow. It's like, oh yeah, today I'm going to start doing this. Most people would start that stuff in summer, Just saying.
Well, just saying.
Most of us. Just saying. No, Moira starts it in winter in the snow.
Yes, well, why not? That's what it is. But so that's actually a nice segue into talking about what we're talking about today is living through your emotions.
Yes. And what I was living through your emotions, and I was going to giggle because when you were talking about rating yourself, I went, this is a top tip to live with your emotions. Rate yourself.
Absolutely it is. Yes. No, you're quite right. And I didn't say that when I was sort of prefacing all that, is that I really encourage people to do it throughout your day. Right. So it's like, if you've got a task to do or things crop up, because you may start your day feeling a little bit tense or, oh my gosh, how's things going to go? Or you might start in a really zen, blissed out, harmonious way, and then things happen, right? Human behavior.
I agree. Absolutely.
So it's about just using that as a tool. It's like, oh, where am I? And obviously making sure that you do not shame yourself if you suddenly feel like, oh my God, I'm at a 7 or 8. Okay. Because as soon as we name it, then it's not managing us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's down to the acknowledgement straight away. As soon as you, whether you like it or not, the moment you acknowledge whatever's happening to you, I find, my cousin Ben would say, calm your farm. So as soon as you acknowledge it, I just find the calm your farm settles in. You just go, oh, okay. Now you're not going to go, oh, okay, everything's better.
No.
But it just drops that level of chaos from your 10 closer to your 0,
right?
Basically. And it just allows you to calm your farm. And that is exactly it. Do
you know, earlier today, before we met to record this, I was listening to one of my mentors speak, and they were talking about that as a collective, as human beings, when we go through change or we decide to up level or improve, there's always pain. There is pain in changing things or evolving, evolution, human consciousness, or ascending, or whatever you want to describe it. But one of the things that they said was, so it just happens, but the key piece here is to always remember that misery is not, you don't have to, right? So it's basically saying that, in this human experience, because we're spiritual beings having this human experience, there's going to be pain, but the misery is not a requirement. We can choose. And that's actually a lovely way of thinking about living through your emotions. Yeah,
I think, there's the word challenge or chaos or pain, all those. If in our mind we just go, it's just a word.
Yes.
If we just go, it's a word in the dictionary, and acknowledge it that it's a word in the dictionary, then you can go, how can I resolve it? But if you can just take that, and even that, I find, when I hear those words, or those words that you just, like you said, pain, and if you can just go, it's just a label, or it's just a word in the dictionary. I just say dictionary. In my mind, I go, oh, dictionary. And I giggle because I'm taking that sting already. Yes. I'm calming my farm already around that word, that it's just gone down a level of chaos, and then whatever it is. And I find just that, well, that's another step to go through living through your emotions, is associated, just go dictionary.
Yeah.
And then it just drops that down.
It drops it down, but here's the other part of that is, and you know this, that the hand over your heart.
Oh,
right.
No, that your hand on the heart thingy has helped one of my clients the last probably 72 hours, where they have gone through the most chaotic thing.
Right.
I hope they ever have to go through, just for the record. But and they have just literally hand on heart and breathed. every time it just
Good for
another
them.
thing comes around the corner, they just stopped and breathed.
Yeah.
And they said it's not the same. It's not the same by breathing unless you have your hand on the heart. I'm thinking it probably is, but that's okay. I'm okay with that because I know for myself it makes a massive difference because it just grounds you
It really
instead of
does.
breathing.
Yeah. Well, and it's actually...
Explain what hand on the heart is actually. Maybe people are probably going, what is hand on the heart? But it's really taken that person, that's calmed their farm.
Right. This hand on your heart is actually a technique, is a technique that I teach people. Basically, it's a wee process. What you do is you just tap with your tips of your 2 fingers, tap on your forehead. You just tap as long as you like, just tap on your forehead. And then you tap 3 times on the bridge of your nose, 3 times on the tip of your nose, and then underneath your nose, just on your top lip, then tapping on your chin. And then what you do is you form your hand into a light fist and you just gently thump all over your collarbone, chest bone area. Nice deep breathing while you're doing this. The whole technique is while you're deeply breathing. And then you open your hand and you place it over your heart. And you say out loud 3 times, I live here. I live here. I live here. Now, you can do that. I actually have people doing that quite regularly, maybe before you make a decision or a choice, or pick up the phone to call somebody. But the more you do it, the more you can actually short circuit it, because if you train yourself just those tapping places that I just said, and then arrived into your heart, the more you do it, the more you create a cellular awareness that you do live at your heart area. And so that's what you're saying about this client that you were encouraging to use it, is all you have to do when you're in that chaotic crisis mode is you're not going to remember all those tapping parts.
Yeah.
But if you could just remember putting your hand over your heart, because your own cellular awareness knows that by me putting my hand over my heart, I'm saying I live here.
Yeah.
And then take a deep breath. But do you know the other part that it does on a deep psychological level is it reminds yourself that you love yourself.
It's just such a simple tool.
Yeah.
And a quick tool that can be done publicly or not publicly.
Absolutely.
That can just allow you to function again. It just takes the sting out of anything that's going on. And yes, it's not taking the stuff away, but it just takes the sting. It just drops it down, and you're just like, oh. And the moment you can feel it,
Yeah. Yeah.
I encourage everyone to do it because it was one of the biggest gifts you gave me, and I've told lots, probably every single client at least more than once. But I just use it myself, and it's also, I find it's also a great one when you're sitting in traffic. Absolutely. Or you're in a traffic jam and you're just like, I want to get somewhere. I'm just like, you can't suddenly turn into a transformer and get ahead of this traffic or whatever. So just hand on heart and breathe. Yeah. And it just, all of a sudden, things just open up for you, I find, because you're rewarding yourself and you're not jumping on that crazy emotional train.
Exactly.
Or such.
Well, that crazy emotional train is actually dragging you out of the present moment. So doing something like that exercise is actually bringing you present, and that issue of, oh my God, I have to get there. It's not here.
Yeah.
It's in your head. And to be honest with you, all of our heads, it's kind of what they do. The mind prattles on.
Yeah.
Pretty much incessantly.
Well, like me, 2:00 this morning going, oh, okay, I need to just do some emails. I need to do this. Oh, I need to think about what's my next topic. I need to do, hour and a half later, I'm like, I need to go to sleep. Do you? Oh, you're going to wake up soon? Yes, I do. Do I? I was like, come on.
I know, my husband stayed up really late. Actually, he actually always stays up really late. But I said to him earlier today, how come you stayed up so late? And he went, because I couldn't fall asleep.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Okay.
All
That's a
right then.
valid reason. Yeah. What could you say to that? Was, oh, okay. I can feel it because I'm on my phone and I can feel my phone getting heavier and heavier in my hand.
Yeah.
I've got one of my friends and she says, oh no, I put the phone, she's my age, and she's like, oh no, I put the phone on the kitchen bench when I go to bed at night. I'm like, what? Don't you go to bed and scroll till you fall asleep and then wake up? And she's like, no, why would I?
Yeah.
Like,
See, I wouldn't be doing that either.
oh, I don't know if I could try it once, but I think probably I'm going to use the excuse I'm on call for my clients. Not that I'd hear their texts anyway. Well, maybe I would. Some I do. But yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because that's actually going to create some of that chit chat, and it's going to bring up different kind of emotions, right? So if you're scrolling through something and it brings up like a comparing yourself to somebody else, or even laughing at somebody, or saying, oh, like,
Yeah.
that's not really going to
Well, I
you
did
right.
hear about Prince Philip before the rest of New Zealand in my mind because I was awake very early.
Well,
And
good
when
for
my daughter woke 4 hours later, she says, did you see Prince Philip passed away? Do you remember? I was like, yes. And I'm thinking, yes, because I was awake at this time, scrolling through America's news, watching it. Yeah, so let's get back to living through your emotions.
Living through your emotions. This is part of it, of course. Living through your emotions is taking your phone to bed and scrolling.
living through your emotions. You're living your emotions. Yeah. And well, it's living through your emotions is, I guess, recognizing any trigger. And I guess that word trigger is actually a trigger. And when I say trigger, I mean anything that just stirs your emotions up. A high emotion or a low emotion, anything that stirs that up, like the jug boiling, anything that stirs it up, that's an emotion.
Yeah. But the emotions, you see, and this is why this idea of living through your emotions is so important, is that if you think about that we are spiritual beings having this physical experience. So just follow this for a moment, because you have the energetic soul or higher self of you, and then you have the physical 3D reality body. Your emotions is the overlay. So your emotions is the soul speaking to the physical form. And so to your point, that anything that shakes things up a bit, that whether it's a panicky feeling or a challenge or a calm feeling and happiness or bliss, it doesn't matter. From a soul perspective, they're just emotions. They're just feelings giving us the experience. It's the human condition where it's, oh, that's terrible. We can't, we sort of rate them and shove them away or stuff them down.
Yeah, and I think that's when getting that word is we just rate it or label it a dictionary. Like just label that just
acknowledge it, like you said.
Yeah, I love the way you describe that, because that's exactly it. But the way you described it just seems so simple. It's like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I used to actually say to people about hiding under your blanket. And I used to say, it's okay to hide under your blanket, but just don't hide there long. And then I actually said, I used to talk, I can't remember what I used to say, but it used to be something like, make sure that blanket gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So you go from a towel,
right.
a bathing towel, and then it gets to a bath mat size, which is smaller. Then it gets to a hand towel size. And do you call them face cloths over there?
Yeah.
A face cloth?
Face cloth or washcloth. Yeah.
Washcloth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then you get to a washcloth or a face cloth, and it's that small size. So take your towel from being a big bath towel to actually being a face cloth. And then you start visualizing the size difference of how much you've evolved from going from a big towel to a bath mat to a hand towel to a face cloth. And then you know that face cloth or washer, you're not going to be able to hide. You can maybe hide your face, but you can't hide the rest of you.
Not your whole
more of the rest of you.
But that's actually, there's a really nice comfort to that you're not saying you have to give it up. So I like that. So it's whittling
it down.
A bit of comfort. but it does. That's a beautiful way of living through your emotions, because this is something that I really encourage people to do. Is the other part with this is to tell yourself the truth, right? So if you're feeling angry, it's okay. Feel angry, feel irritated, feel judgy. It's okay.
It's that word you said, it's okay. Remember, I think we've talked about this before. There was a few years ago, there was a thing about it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hug people. It's okay to say what you want to say. Like, it's okay. It's okay to feel.
Yeah.
Not with my mother around. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for when your mum's there.
Yeah. That's it. But that's it. It's okay. And I think that because, I know when people are passing away and, there's ill people and they're dying and they want to see everybody. And then that last person, actually, it feels like that last person has to say, Nana, it's okay. Right. It's okay. You can go now. Yeah. Granddad, it's okay. Mum, it's okay. My friend, it's okay. Yeah. And as soon as they have that permission, as soon as the other person has that permission, then very quickly they do pass, from my experience. But it's okay. And that's another way of living through your emotions. Like, it's okay. But you don't need someone else's permission.
No.
But it's like we need to wait until that person goes, it's okay, you can cry. It's okay, exactly. You can do this. You don't have to be that. And then you just go, because I know it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I know people have just gone, it's okay, just let it all out. And then suddenly you just go, can I? Whoa! And then you're like, whoa, where did that come from?
But and that's a fascinating part, because this is we deserve to feel our emotions and tell the truth, and that's by doing that we recognize they're impermanent. This is the other part of living through emotions. Is
a quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
I in my work with cancer patients, this is a really tricky area that really is so important to help people feel their emotions and be okay, be vulnerable, be accepting that they're terrified, or they're scared of the treatment, or they're scared of the prognosis, or they're upset, or they're beating themselves up. Because I've met quite a few people who will be very cagey about sharing what they're sharing or feeling, because they feel like they might get judged, or they're showing a side of a weakness, right? That they don't want to burden other people. So that's been part of my process with people at certain stages, is have your pity party, have your tantrum, punch pillows, stamp your feet, tell me the truth about what you're feeling about your upcoming treatment. And the amount of times that people get into that flow and really do share or describe those kind of emotions, they lift. And then the person goes, oh yeah, I am scared, but I've got this. The next step. I'm ready for the next step.
I think, like, especially like the cancer, like that illness, I know I'm a single mum, although my daughter's now nearly 21, so it doesn't really feel like a single mum bringing her up, or bring her up differently. But I know when I was younger, and she was younger, and in my mind, I could not cry. I could not show any emotion. It was like, yes, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Yes, darling. Yes. Everything's honky-dory. Everything's beautiful. Yes. And a friend said to me, why don't you cry in front of her? I was like, well, I wouldn't. Like, why would I want her to see me as weak? And she goes, why would you not want her to see you as real? And I was like,
well said.
and I remember that real word, and I was like, no, it's weak. And I remember it just played over and over. And then I was just like, why would you want to be, and it was that whole real, show her. And I remember the first time I cried, I just couldn't stop. And poor old Sophie was like, well, what do I need to do? She's probably never seen me cry. I don't even know how it was. She was 4 or whatever. I actually have no idea. And it just kept flooding. And then it just did a different level of who I was as a mother, who I was as a female, who I was as my identity, who I was as Deborah, and for her. And I just went, yeah. And so from then I just went, okay, if I'm not having a good day, you're going to know about it. Like, why do I need to hide it? And I think from then on, although people often say I'm too truthful, so
is there really such a thing?
Yeah. No, I just think about my emotions and I speak freely. So I think for me that was a real big thing of being able to say whatever and do whatever and be okay with it. But that, for single parents, that was a big thing. And I used to say to people, they say, I'm a single parent. I go, oh, do you cry in front of your child? Why would I want to do that? I don't want them to know that. I'm like, why would you not want to? Do you want them to grow up and think that you
but
all
there's
mums
something
don't cry,
wrong?
or
But there's
dads don't
something
cry?
wrong when you cry.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens, right? Is that when you
absolutely
basically, I describe that as holding up a mask. So in front of your children, you're putting up this mask of I'm resilient, everything's fine, I'm good, I don't cry, I don't have emotions. And then when they start having emotions, it's like, oh no, I have to be like mom, or I have to be like dad, because and sometimes that can create a wee bit of a crisis too, because they do not know how to express or feel or even recognize certain emotions, right?
Yeah, I just I actually, funny we were talking about this because there's a screenshot I did of this book and it's called It's Okay to Cry. And it's a book in England from this woman Molly Potter and Sarah Jennings, and it's okay to cry. And what I did was I screenshotted it and I messaged them because I think that's a great book even for adults, not just children. Like, it doesn't just say it's, and she said, oh, my aim was for boys. I'm like, why boys? Do it for everybody around the world, and she was like, yes, I agree with you, because it's not just boys, it's not just girls, it's not just children, it's anybody, a CEO has a failed business, a sports person, a parent, a not parent. Like, it's okay to cry and release whatever that is.
Absolutely. And it's really funny as you're saying that, I was like, maybe that it needs to be for Canadians too. So many people I say that we apologize. The Canadian way is to say sorry.
Oh, really?
You'll get somebody starting to cry and, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry, like, stop.
Oh,
no.
that's so, and I hear that and I just, first I laugh.
Of course you do.
Really? Pull your head in. But then that's just so sad that they think that's it. Like, it's okay to cry. Yeah, I've said to her I'd like to order quite a few books because I think it would be quite an interesting one. But I think we just don't acknowledge ourselves that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel, like living through your emotions. It's okay to live through your emotions because you have no choice.
In fact, it's essential. You do not have a choice. But here's the thing, and to your point, what in the example you shared about you went for so long without crying in front of Sophie, and that this is the way. And then when the floodwaters broke, so to speak, it was torrential.
I know.
Right? So it was like
it wouldn't stop.
Yeah, but the point being is that you had suppressed so much that then it was like all the times that you had pushed down,
and it was everything. So even though you might have been grieving for your money at that time, it was the money, the house, the body, the image, everything just went,
questioning if I'm being a good enough mum.
Let's just throw the whole
all of it
at once.
Let's
just deal with that. And then that thing that happened to you 20 years ago, let's just bring that up.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, sure. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah.
So if you don't live through your emotions and deal with them, guess what happens? 20 years later, they'll just brew up.
You know, you and I have talked about this
But it's
before
true.
on previous episodes about when we feel an emotion coming up like a trigger, and maybe it's not appropriate to, you know, burst out sobbing in the grocery store, which
Yep.
you know, so maybe some places it would,
Well,
but you know,
depends on your mood. Depends on your mood if you can contain it or not at that time. Yeah.
at that time. But the what I'm trying to say is that when you feel something coming up and you're maybe not in the right environment to deal with it, it's really important to just acknowledge it in your mind. You know, there's sadness, or there's irritation, or there's needing to cry, or grieving, or whatever it is, and make a promise to yourself that at this time, you know, later today, or just before I go to bed, or sometime, just sit with it and process it and express it and allow it to be honored and recognized, right?
Yeah, it's if you, yeah, that's exactly it. Just acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
Just first steps of AA, acknowledge it.
Yes.
Acknowledge and then accept. But acknowledge it, because if you do not acknowledge it, like I just said, 20 years later, something can just hit you. You can see the color red, and you can
Volcano goes off. Yeah.
I think the other thing with that word acknowledge, you know, living through your emotions, is the word that I get really big as well as trust.
Mm-hmm.
And trust is a
issue.
major factor on life, that you must trust you will get through anything that happens to you. Now, we've all been through chaos before, and we've had trust and faith and a belief, or whatever you want to call it. I just use the word trust, that you've got through it before, you're here now, you're still breathing, you can still listen, and this is where we are. And so you have to trust that you've been through stuff before, so you're going to get through this again. Now, yes, it may feel like you're passing through a barbed wire fence. Yes, sometimes it could be feeling like that at certain things. But it's a trust that I know I can get through this. Don't get urgency of going, okay, I'm going to put a time frame on this, that it's only 24 hours, I'm going to deal with it.
Right.
Like, just be realistic, because in 24 hours, if you don't get to the end of it,
then you
and there's
start
another
guilting
24
yourself or shaming yourself.
then there's a whole nother level of fluff that gets attached to you. Yeah, definitely. So just trust that it's going to be okay when the time's right, and you don't have to put a time on it.
I agree with you. It's actually something that I often say to my clients too, is that I firmly believe that none of us are ever in any kind of situation that we cannot deal with. It's not how life works. But sometimes that's all we can hold on to. Yeah. You might say, okay, I wouldn't be in this situation or in this chaos if I couldn't deal with it. And so therefore, I'm just going to hold on to that truth for myself until I recognize it, or until I see, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. But that can sometimes keep you grounded in the present moment and dealing, you know, what can I do? What's my next step? As opposed to, I have to get through this in an X amount of time, because that can be a bit too conditional, right?
Yeah, I've got somebody at the moment who's around me, and it's just like a punch. It's like, bang, this is happening to them. And just when it gets to the end and they really see the light at the end of the tunnel, like, oh, wow, I can see this. This is going to finish. It's going to, you know, next thing you know, bang, there's another one.
Oh, dear.
And it's just like, oh my God. And honestly, I'm just going trust. And my trust is broken, because I'm like, wow, really? And another thing. And then but the next level of stuff, the next level of chaos just comes at a bigger level, and you're like, oh my God, what am I missing? What am I missing to tell my friend? Because there's something that keeps happening. It's just like, okay, and just when this starts to settle, boom, here's another one. But it's just a little bit more of, you know.
Isn't that funny? And sometimes, like, to me, that speaks of some massive healing going on,
I know.
and come the other side. Because you know what it reminds me of?
I can't wait for the other side. Can we just tap our Dorothy heels and get to the other side? Because my God, it'd be a lot easier for me.
Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
No, you know, I remember this time where this is many years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, I think, that I had the flu, and then I had something else, and then I got pneumonia. So I actually was sick for over a month, which is really not like me, but it was like you're saying too, it's like every time I got something else, it was worse and worse and worse and worse. And the pneumonia was just unbelievable. I had to be on some pretty trippy medication to get through that. But
I was just going to say that, and that alone, medication, taking any medication is enough to take your mind out of reality.
Yep.
But it can calm your farm sort of ish.
Yep. So you know, while I was going through that, I couldn't see. I couldn't see what was the gift of it, or what you know, like I have something else to deal with, and I kept having to cancel all my client sessions, and I was feeling so overwhelmed. And as I was coming through the last sort of stages of the pneumonia, I suddenly realized the depth of the past grieving that I had actually cleared up. And so, and I don't know how this landed for me. It just kind of got this epiphany, because up until that point, I just kept thinking and repeating this mantra of, I can't see my way through this, or I can't see the highest and best in this emotional experience, but I know it's here. I know it's here. And then, like I said, I was journaling or something, and I'm like, oh, I've really been clearing out some deep some of it was inherited. Some of it was, yes, absolutely, from the depths. And I actually did recover fairly quickly after that. It was deep healing. And so here, maybe I'm just reflecting that maybe on some level that's something similar to this person you're witnessing or holding space for, right?
Well, they're not a client, so it's and it's just literally holding space for them,
right?
And just, you know, like rubbing their back, basically.
And sometimes that's it. That's all we can do.
And that's exactly it. But I was just thinking, actually, even just that, going back to the hand on the heart, definitely, but maybe just take that one step to do the tapping, you know.
Yeah.
And it is that trust. But trust is so important in anything. And there's different levels of the trust. There's trust of yourself, which is a massive one. And I think trust of yourself is actually bigger than trusting the universe and trusting others. You know, because
I think all trust starts at home. That's what I say. All trust starts at home. So the key piece being, you have to trust yourself first before you'll be able to trust another person, before you'll be able to trust the universe, or right. It doesn't happen the other way around.
Yeah.
My belief.
Trust is definitely a massive one.
And that's a key piece in living through your emotions, right? Is to trust that I may be feeling such and such at the moment, but I trust that it's part of my evolution. It's part of my healing journey. It's part of my up-leveling, right?
And I'm just going to say, because I know our time's coming, with that trust, you can BS yourself. You can say, I trust it, and you don't trust it.
Yep.
And that's actually okay, because you're still telling yourself there's a level of trust. And even if you're doing it just to trick yourself and, I don't really believe it, you're still actually giving yourself a little percentage, 2, 3, 4, 5%, whatever. You're actually telling yourself, I trust this process.
Yep.
You know, not that you have to walk around all day and just tap your forehead and say, I trust this process. Sorry, Moira. You know, like, I trust this process. You know, you don't have to be one of those people.
Right.
But just saying to that, I trust this process. And the more you say that, right as you get into that state, is definitely going to change your brain patterns.
Yeah.
So
it will start to integrate.
Yeah. Even if in your heart you're going, bullshit.
Yeah,
because that bullshit will disappear. Those wordings will disappear. Wow.
Well.
Well, thank you, Moira and Debz. So today's listening was brought to you by Moira and Debz, and we were living through your emotions.
Living through your emotions.
So what number were you to start with?
I was a 1.
You're a 1. So I trust that we have moved from the higher number to the lower number, but if you haven't, like Deborah does occasionally, goes backwards, that's okay as well. That just means you haven't listened enough, so go back and listen again. So Moira, you were a 1. What number are you now?
Oh, I'm a 0. I'm
a 0.
Zero.
She's a Zen.
I'm
She's
a Zen out girl.
Well, I'm moving to a 1 because I've got a couple of strategies in my mind about a few things I've picked up on this call. So that's where I've gone. So listeners, let us know where you're at from your number, where you started, where you're at now. Put it in the comments. That would be fabulous. If
you need any help with your emotions, or you need some more wisdom or guidance, please let us know. We're here for you too.
We're definitely here for you. Absolutely. So private message us, send us a message here, individually, together, whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
But if you got some value in this, let us know, because we have a list of topics that we'd love to talk about, and we're just seeing what resonates with you and what's going on for you. So if this really lands for you this week, let us know. We'd love to know what value you got, and share us out. Share. SHARE goes to Queen's English. Share us around, as Moira would say in her Scottish accent. Maybe it doesn't sound like that at all.
Share us around with your friend and loved ones.
Yeah, that's it. And even the ones you don't love, share us around. So thank you for being on the call today, everybody. We value you, and I live here.
I live here.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Moira.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.